All right, welcome to another solo podcast where I get a chance to pull together threads from conversations with guests, clients, and friends that seem to be organizing themselves around themes so I can make better sense of them. And I'm hoping that hearing me connect these dots in real time provides you some space to insert your own stories so that you can leave with a new perspective, a new way of thinking, and maybe even something that inspires you to make changes in your life. Now, today I want to talk about the rise of the retreats. Yeah, retreats. Those things that everyone seems to be going on lately that aren't exactly work, they're not exactly vacation, but they're 3 or 4 days in a novel setting with strangers designed to help you reset or do something you've always wanted to do. These things seem to have come out of nowhere. I don't remember anyone talking about retreats before COVID. And now everyone I talk to is either going on one, saving up for one, or even running one of their own. There are retreats for everything you can possibly imagine. It's a $300 billion industry and growing at double digits every year. So what is interesting about this? There are 2 parts of it that I can't stop thinking about. First, there's a paradox I want to explore. And second, there is what we can do about it. First, the paradox. Now, I am a big fan of these retreats. I've gone on 2 in the last 10 months. And they were both transformational. And if you told me 5 years ago I'd be going on multiple retreats a year, I'd say, what the fuck for? And I'm going to share details about these retreats in this episode so you can check them out if you're interested. But I want to be clear, this is not a promotion. The people running these retreats have not paid me a cent. And in fact, they don't even know I'm talking about it on this podcast. They're going to learn about it on Spotify or Instagram or LinkedIn, just like everyone else. So they've been helpful for me, and I bet some kind of retreat would be helpful for you. I think they're necessary in the world we live in. The paradox is how crazy and fucked up it is that we need them. We have done this to ourselves. The exploding demand for these things is evidence of how we've engineered our lives to be so full of distractions and anxiety and comparisons and judgment that we're willing to pay thousands of dollars just to go into the woods with strangers for 3 days. The paradox is that these retreats give us a chance to reconnect with the way that our brains and our bodies and our physiology have been designed. It's the way we're supposed to live. And because of the lives we've chosen, we're willing to settle for 3 days a year. So both things can be true. They are helpful. They are necessary. And we should never need them. But we do. So that's the paradox. And the second thing I want you to take away is what I've taken away from these experiences, the things that I've learned to try to integrate back into my normal life. So sure, maybe in a perfect world, we would never need to go on retreats. But unless you're planning on selling everything you own and going and living to be a farmer, I don't think that's going to happen. So how can we take these 3 or 4 days and learn from them and live in a way that these experiences aren't so jarring? Because my experiences have been, as I said, transformational. But part of the reason that they're so transformational is that it's in such contrast to my normal life. Being completely disconnected and having the kind of honest, vulnerable conversations with people and exploring questions that I've just never asked myself. It's jarring because that version of myself, that part of me that I rediscover, doesn't seem to be able to survive in this normal world. And I want to create balance where retreat Bob and normal life Bob can live in harmony. I want to smooth out the edges between my retreat experience and my normal life so it doesn't feel like I'm living on another planet for 3 days. A planet that I have to come back to and get used to. I want it to be a reset, a boost, a supercharge. But I get a little bit smarter about integrating the best parts of those experiences into my life every time. So let's do that. Let's explore the paradox and then share ideas on how to bring the best parts of these retreats back into our normal lives. First, I want to share my experience with retreats. If you've ever been on one, I bet some of this will sound familiar. Because there are elements common to all retreats, I'm guessing, and I realize 2 is a small sample size, but I learned back in my early consulting days that 1 data point is an observation, 2 is a trend. So it's enough for me. And if you haven't been on a retreat, this will give you a glimpse into what you're in for if you decide to try one. Now, my first ever retreat was about 10 months ago at one called Waypoint, which is run by Greg and Whitney Boyd from Vienna Waits. Both of them have been on the pod, and they're really good friends of mine. And last year was their inaugural retreat, and they asked me to do a keynote. And it went off great. It was amazing. Now, every retreat has a theme, and Waypoint is for entrepreneurs or aspiring entrepreneurs. It's for people that have an idea that they've always wanted to get off the ground, or maybe they're already running a business and they want to grow it. And it's all about taking inspiration and turning it into action towards some intentional goal. It's 3 days in a beautiful glamping resort, a couple hours outside Toronto, with about 20 people trying to do the same thing. The second retreat I did was more recently at Heartstrings Songwriting Retreat, put on by Peter Katz, renowned musician and speaker that I also had on my podcast. It's for aspiring songwriters, and after 3 days, Peter promises that you'll leave with a fully written and recorded song. It was incredible, and Peter, along with his amazing supporting cast, delivered. I have a song that I wrote, and I'm very proud of it. And after a lifetime of trying, I wrote and recorded a song in 3 days. And if you want to stick around to the end of this episode, you can give it a listen yourself. So again, this is not a promotion. If either of those retreats sounds like something you're interested in, check them out. The links are in the show notes. But I really don't care, because that's really not the point. What's important is what I found that was common among these two very different experiences, entrepreneurs and songwriters. You wouldn't think they'd have much in common, but it's the common threads that make them so powerful. And here's a short list. Turning off your phone, spending quiet time in nature, having honest, vulnerable conversations in real life, and taking time to reflect and reconnect with yourself. That's right. It's the white space between the programming that makes them so powerful. Now, make no mistake, the organizers of these retreats, they both have agonized over every detail of the experience, from the physical place to the connections and conversations that happen leading up to the retreat, everything that happens at the retreat, and even what happens as follow-on to these experiences. Every detail is curated. What I found most interesting is that the programming has lots of space in between. We come together as a group and we have a group conversation where somebody will introduce an idea or a framework that we can all use, and then we go away and we reflect on it. You can go for a bike ride, you can journal, you can do yoga, you could work out, or you can start conversations with other people there around things you're struggling with or things you have in common. They've struck just the right balance between the guidance and support that they provide in the programming and giving all of the individuals their time to explore those ideas and reflect on them on their own. Now, we've all been to corporate retreats or sales kickoffs where it might be 3 or 4 days, and every day starts with an 8 a.m. breakfast, and it's back-to-back sessions until your group dinner. 3 days, no space, and everybody leaves overwhelmed and exhausted. And these retreats are the opposite of that. Now, I'm sure they were tempted to fill our days with programming and presentations because they want to deliver value. They want people to leave packed full of inspiration and ideas. They want people to leave thinking that was the best money I ever spent. They resisted that temptation to pack our days full of information because the beauty of it, the power of it, is just the right amount of coming together as a group and time by yourself to reconnect with other people, your ideas, yourself, your body, the trees, the turtles, and the hummingbirds. And that is the beauty of it. And also the part that is a little bit hard to reconcile because it feels like I'm paying a bunch of money just to go sit by myself on a rock and listen to the wind in the trees. And of course, I don't want to trivialize these experiences because they are so much more than that. But also that is the magic of it. A bit of inspiration from the group. Some ideas on how to get started, maybe a guide on where to start, and then time alone to digest, reflect, and make it your own. The programming part is something you could conceivably get anywhere. ChatGPT could give me a plan to transform my business. It could give me a 5-step process to write a song. That's the easy part. It's the conversation around it, then the time to digest and reflect and get that cocktail right. That's really what you're paying for. I recently read a book by Arthur Brooks called The Meaning of Your Life. Now, Brooks is a Harvard professor and researcher on happiness, fulfillment, and meaning. And one of the things he explores in the book is the difference between complicated problems and complex problems. Complicated problems are technical ones, like how do I do A, B, or C? How does a jet engine work? How can I build my business to $1 million? These are the problems that technology and AI can help us solve. And we have filled our lives with apps and technology to make answering these questions easier. We've gotten much better at solving complicated problems. Complex problems are the ones that are unknowable. They don't have answers. We can understand and explore these problems conceptually, but we will never truly understand them. There is no answer. The point of these problems is to keep us forever searching because there is no answer. We will never truly find what we're looking for. These are related to love, happiness, and the meaning of life. And the left side of our brain, the what and the how, is where we're spending all of our time. We're getting really good at solving complicated problems, but our reliance on technology means we are spending all of our time in our left brain. We're always hustling, working, being more productive, and we've never been more empty, alone, and unfulfilled. Similarly, the right side of our brain, the why, the part that is designed for complex problems, is atrophying. We spend our lives on our phones solving complicated problems and are forgetting how to sit and wonder and contemplate the unknowable. Even though these problems are unsolvable, they are the key to finding fulfillment, happiness, and connecting with ourselves and others. It's why we're so uncomfortable in quiet and being by ourselves. We have this compulsion to always be doing something, always be listening, always be learning, always be productive. We listen to podcasts or audiobooks while we're folding laundry, exercising, or driving because it feels like we're wasting time letting our minds wander. Being quiet, being by ourselves is not wasting time. It's where the left side works. It needs space to think, and we're smothering it in digital slop that consumes every minute of our lives. So viewed through this scientific lens, it explains why these retreats are so jarring. They force us to use the left side of our brain that has been sitting there unused for months or years. Most of the experience is spent trying to quiet the right side, the bully part of our brain that's been getting all the attention, and nurturing the left side that's weak from not being asked any questions. So I want to dig into a little bit of this songwriting experience because it's the one that's freshest in my mind. A little bit of background. My grandfather bought me a guitar for my 9th birthday. He wanted me to learn bluegrass like Tommy Hunter on TV. And I've played cover songs around the campfire my whole life. But one thing I've never been able to do is write something of my own. And God knows I've tried. I'd write a couple lines, look down at the page and think, this is not as good as anything Tom Petty wrote. And I'd quit. And it's not that I'd write a song and throw it out. I'd never even get that far. Now, I've talked before about the link between creativity, curiosity, and connection. We are born creative and curious. But those things get dulled over time, buried under years of self-doubt, imposter syndrome, and the fear of judgment. And it's that fear that kept me from writing a song, feeding that part of me that didn't think I had anything interesting to say. The part of me that saw the words on the page and quit before the end of a single verse. Now, about a year ago, I was introduced to Peter Katz. He seemed like a guy that had this creativity thing figured out. So I had him on the pod to talk about his upcoming album. We talked about his creative process and what I might be able to learn. And when he started talking about his heartstring songwriting retreats, it sounded like he was speaking directly to my soul. But I'm not going to lie, I was scared shitless. I was convinced I would be the one person there that wouldn't be able to do it, that I'd be the one on Sunday with nothing to share with the group. So I did some thinking leading up to the days for the retreat. And I thought about what I might write a song about. My son's illness, growing old and irrelevant, some real solid rock and roll ideas. And maybe they'll become songs someday. But the first thing I learned is that it's not up to us what we create. It's our job to be open, to notice. Every one of the 4 songwriters there came armed with ideas, and every one of us wrote about something else we were inspired by while we were there. And our songs were more personal, emotional, and vulnerable because of it. And that's the battle between the left and the right brain. The right brain came armed with great ideas, or so I thought. I needed some ideas for the retreat, a solvable problem, and my right brain delivered. But it was only when I disconnected from the noise of my life and gave my left brain time to breathe did inspiration find me in the form of a song that I never would have come up with when I was trying so hard. This is the magic of reconnecting with that part of you we've lost in our normal lives. So, where did the song come from? A week before the retreat, I moved my mom into a retirement home, and it's something that all of us hope we never have to do. But she can't live on her own anymore, and so we found a place we think she'll be happy and safe. She had been living with my sister 5 hours north of here for the last year, so once we had her room all set up, it was my job to go get her. My mom has dementia, and as hard as it is to admit, I was not looking forward to 5 hours of answering the same questions over and over. And then my son had an idea. He said, "Why don't you make Grandma a playlist?" Damn, that was a great idea. Some of my fondest memories are of my mom singing along to the radio, cleaning the house on Saturday mornings, partying with friends down in our rec room, or belting it out on long car rides to the marina where we kept our boat. So I curated a list of songs I remember her singing and put it on as we started our journey. And from the very first note of the very first song, I saw a spark return to her face I haven't seen in years. She knew every word. This woman didn't know where she was going or how long she'd be there. But she knew the lyrics to every song on that playlist. Elvis, ABBA, The Platters, 50s classics. And for that entire ride, she was 16 again. It was a beautiful moment. And I'm forever grateful for those hours that we had together. But it never occurred to me that it might be a song someday. And the song that I recorded is called Play Me Some Elvis. And again, stick around to the end if you want to hear it. The song was there just under the surface of my busy, normal life, waiting for the space to come to life. And that's how it happened. That's how I wrote a song in 3 days after trying my whole life. And in some ways, it's the easiest thing I've ever done. And in other ways, it seems impossible in the world we live in. So maybe you aren't interested in writing a song, but everyone has questions they wrestle with about a job that doesn't light you up like it used to, relationships that seem to have run their course, or a restless feeling you just can't shake that you were meant to do more with the time you have left. For Whitney and Greg at Waypoint, it's how do I get this thing started I've always wanted to try? How do I get moving and build confidence as I go? The answers to these questions seem just out of reach, but they're not. You have everything you need. They're just on the other side of all the noise we've built into our lives that prevents us from hearing them. So how do we take the best of these reset experiences in the woods and integrate them into our normal daily lives? First, unplug and get outside. I know you're tired of hearing it. Worse, you know it. You know how good it feels when you go into the woods and are forced to disconnect. So when is the last time you did it? I don't mean just from email or Slack or LinkedIn. I mean from everything. Texts, social media, all notifications. We need to be bored. The only reason my song appeared is because I was present with the turtles and the hummingbirds and the loons and the water and the grass under my bare feet. And then I listened. I noticed. I paid attention. It happened at Waypoint too, inspired by conversations or music or nature because I was simply noticing and paying attention. I have more ideas in me, more songs in me, but none of them will see the light of day from behind a screen, and the answers to your big questions won't either. Number 2, write a shitty first draft. Now, I heard John Lennon talk about this because the problem that most of us face is we come up with a good line or an idea and we jot it down, and we plan on coming back to it later, but we don't. Or we do, but the idea has lost its emotional charge. We forget what made it so meaningful, so it dies. And the best way to combat this, finish the song or the idea or whatever you're working on. Keep going. It doesn't matter if it sucks. In fact, it probably will. But now you have a shitty first draft to work with. And even if you throw 80% of it out, you've made it further than you ever have before. And you've captured the emotion that drew you to the idea in the first place. My finished song has lines in it I didn't like at first, but I needed something. And now they're some of my favorites. They just needed time to ripen. We did something similar at Waypoint with our plans and our ideas. The point was never to leave with a fully formed bulletproof strategy. It was to get started, to build momentum that builds confidence that we can do it again on our own. Number 3, Use constraints. Both of these experiences were 3 days. At Waypoint, it was all about building a plan and getting started. At Heartstrings, I left with a fully recorded song. If these experiences were a week long, it would have taken that long. If they were a month, it would have taken a month. After 3 days, my Waypoint plan was good enough. My song was good enough. And they contain a raw energy I would have lost by overthinking it. Constraints, whether it's time, length, structure, allow us to focus intensely on something and then let it go, so we can move on to the next thing that requires our undivided attention. I can't tell you how many times I rewrote this episode, and I'd still be rewriting it if I didn't have a deadline to meet. It's not perfect, but it's good enough. Have conversations in 3 dimensions. There's a special place in heaven reserved for people that can foster a connection between strangers through pure intention and vulnerability. That's what Greg and Whitney did, and that's what Peter, Rob, Tessa, and Kieran did. We laughed and cried the entire time, and we're bonded for life. Everyone felt safe to talk and explore things maybe some of our best friends don't know about us. And through that safety came ideas and lyrics that would have stayed buried. You don't need facilitators or retreat to do this. You just need to step away from your screen and talk to people in real life. It's how we're built. It's how we build trust and connection, and we all need more of it. Every time I do it, I tell myself I need to do more of it. But my natural default is to work away in my home office and talk to people on camera. And I've done it so long, it starts to feel normal until you go out and talk to people in person and realize, oh, this is how connection is supposed to feel. The last might be the most important. Play with detached curiosity. Okay, so one of the very first exercises we did at Heartstrings is we all went out on Peter's boat and we floated out in the middle of the lake, and he set a timer for 7 minutes. And we all had notepads and pens, and we all wrote for the full 7 minutes. Full stream of consciousness, whatever comes into your head about the birds or the turtles, the hummingbirds, the sky, whatever came out. And it's actually harder than it sounds. 7 minutes feels like a really long time. I try to do my morning pages every morning, which is 3 pages of this same kind of thing. But even with me, it felt a little harder. But I did notice, and this happens with my morning pages too, that I don't know, but at some point in that 7 minutes, there were things that were spilling out onto the page that I didn't recognize. I didn't know where they came from, because your brain can actually think much faster than your hand can move. And there were times where I felt like my hand couldn't keep up. I would look at the page and I didn't recognize where the words were coming from, how they were coming out so fast. And it was like it was a connection between my brain and my fingers that my conscious mind couldn't keep up with. And every once in a while, a line would come up and I put a little star beside it. And it was like, hey, that's not bad. And what I realized is that this is where inspiration comes from, when we can detach from the judgment and insecurity and the expectation that everything we say, everything we write has to be great. It's that judgment that kept me from writing a song my whole life, because I write 2 words and I look down and say, that sucks. And this gets around that. It's a hack. And you start to realize that the ideas that you want to build on, the lines of the song, the solutions to the problems that are keeping you up at night are there. And I've heard songwriters describe songwriting as not so much about writing as noticing, as being aware. Elizabeth Gilbert talks about this in her book, Big Magic. Inspiration will find you, but it needs to find you working. The solutions to the problems that you're struggling with are floating around. Your job is to be a vessel, to be open, to be connected, to give a place for this inspiration to land. And if you're not open, if you're blocked, or if you're distracted, if you're not connected, that inspiration will just go land somewhere else. And maybe that's the most important takeaway. I believe that the answer to the problems keeping us up at night are on the other side of all the distractions and comparisons and anxiety we've built into our lives. We know the answers, but they're buried because we've stopped listening for so long, we don't even recognize the voice inside us when we hear it. This journaling is the single most powerful way to access your subconscious, that inner voice. You don't have time to judge what's coming out, to stop and think it sucks. You keep going, and eventually you tap into ideas you don't recognize, that no amount of thinking and strategizing would ever come up with. For both of these experiences, I went into the woods looking to do a specific thing. At Waypoint, it was to build momentum around a new kind of business. For Heartstrings, it was to write a song. In both cases, what I discovered in those 3 days is something I didn't even know I'd lost. I found the very best version of myself, honest, vulnerable, brave, and unapologetically myself. And I want to bring that version of Bob back here to the real world. But I'll be honest, I don't know how long he can survive here. This place, with all its distractions and fake authenticity, is engineered to murder that truest version of us. But I know the answers I'm looking for are inside me, not out there in more followers, more money, or bigger audiences. As we wrapped up the weekend, we talked as a group about going back to the real world and how we'd adjust. People talked about being afraid to re-enter that world. And this happened unprompted at both retreats. I have a feeling it's a conversation that happens just about every time. And at Heartstrings, Peter said something that struck me. That's not the real world. This is the real world. Now that's a mic drop moment. And it's the point of this whole conversation. We save up. We circle dates on our calendars. We pay all this money to live like we are meant to live. And we settle for that for 3 out of 365 days. Because 362 days, we live in the matrix. We live in this artificial, constructed world full of shit that does not matter, requiring us to use our bodies and our brains in ways that they were never designed for. We've over-indexed on the left side of our brain, where judgment and anxiety and comparison thrives. And it's why we're so disconnected and unfulfilled. This is not the real world. Maybe the retreats where we're connected with nature, each other, and ourselves, maybe that's the real world. And that version of us is the real us. So now it's up to us to bring as much of that back to our normal lives. Yes, to go on retreats, to supercharge our lives, to reset, but to resist the uncontrollable urge to let technology and the inertia of comparison pull us back into the matrix. I hope this was helpful. I hope you take away just one idea you can use. And if you're interested, please do check out Waypoint at vienna-waits.com/retreat and Heartstrings Songwriting Retreat at heartstringsretreats.com, all one word. Tell them Bob sent you. And now, my gift from me to you for sticking around until the end, the world premiere of Play Me Some Elvis. Mom, this is for you.
Woke up this morning scared and alone. Lost numbers on the telephone. Surrounded by strangers that know my name down hallways I've never been shown. And I'm wrapped up in this gray skin until something throws me back again. Play me some Elvis like I was 16. I was your teddy bear and all you need. Or maybe some Roy walking by so pretty. Fading sounds from the shrinking city. I'm searching for something that I miss. Play me some Elvis. I can't help falling in love over again when I hear our song. She left me here on my own, nothing but dreams and nowhere to go. And I used to work so hard to forget, now faded notes are all that's left. Play me some Elvis like I was 16. I was your teddy bear and all you need. Or maybe some boy and walking by so pretty. Faded sounds from a shrinking city. I'm searching for something that I miss. Play me my life back. Play me some Elvis. Play me some Elvis. Play me some Elvis. Play me some Elvis. There's a morning not too far away when the old me gets to stay. Not here but somewhere else, singing hound dog with the king himself. Until then, until then, until then, it's been really nice seeing me again. Play me some Elvis like I was 16. I was your teddy bear and all you needed. Or maybe some Roy walking by so pretty. Fading sounds from the drinking city. I'm searching for something that I miss. Play me my life back. Play me some Elvis. Play me some Elvis. Oh, play me some Elvis. Now bye, bye bye baby. Girl, I won't be coming no more. Goodbye my little darling. Down the road I go. Now bye, bye bye baby. Girl, I won't be coming no more. Goodbye my little darling. Down the road I go. Play me some Elvis.
The Growth Mixtape podcast with Bob Mathers is produced by Bespoke Projects. Music by Jim Appel, Walter Cronkite. If you enjoyed this episode, please take a moment to follow and rate us. When you do this, it helps to raise our podcast profile so that more people can find us. If you want to connect, you can find me on LinkedIn using the link in the show notes.